I arrived in Mexico City in December 2019. I had just quit my job at a big law firm in Washington, D.C., and left the law after over a decade of toil. I had no idea what to do next, but I knew I needed to escape. As a former debating nerd with a painfully extroverted personality, sitting alone in an office all day and quietly reviewing documents just wasn't for me. So instead of doing the practical thing, speaking to a career counselor and sprucing up my resume, my husband Kieran and I booked a one-way ticket to Mexico. When we landed in Mexico City, we were completely lost. We couldn't speak a word of Spanish and had no job prospects, friends, or connections. But there was something intoxicating about this place. There was the obvious. The food. Spicy enough for even my snobby Indian palate. The warmth of the people, always looking for the next fiesta. And music so joyful that even Kieran's hips started moving involuntarily. But as any Mexican will tell you, the country is more than just tacos and mariachi bands. Mexico is a complex, diverse, and sometimes contradictory country. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to find out. I'm Nita Rao, and this is Lost in Mexico, a podcast about my journey to understand Mexico through conversations with Mexicans. I started this podcast for the same reasons that most people start podcasts during quarantine: extreme boredom and a desperate need for a project. But the main reason is that having lived in the US for 4 years, pretty much everything I heard about Mexico involved narcos or the border wall. In other words, what Trump thinks of Mexico. I wanted to know what Mexicans think of Mexico. And not just that. Ordinary Mexicans. People who might not get quoted on CNN, but who can reveal something distinctive about their lives in this country. Each episode, I'll be taking you on my journey as I learn something new about this country's politics, music, food, sport, and history. This is Lost in Mexico. Before COVID, our lives were the opposite of socially distanced. We rented a small apartment in Mexico City, a city of 21 million people, which is not somewhere you'd go if you want physical separation. Mexico City is the kind of place where you're always jostling for position. From ordering a taco at a crowded street stall to pushing through the scrum of people fighting to get into a nightclub. Like lots of people in Mexico City, we were concerned about the new coronavirus but weren't doing much differently. We were still taking salsa classes, which was embarrassing for all concerned, and eating anything we could get our hands on. In March, Mexico's colorful president Andrés Manuel López Obrador, also known as AMLO, was still kissing babies at rallies and scoffing at social distancing. You have to hug, he said. Nothing is going to happen. Since March, things have changed dramatically.